The Unsung Frame, Book 2 of The Synth Crisis. Written by Greg Dragon, narrated by Tucker McDougall. Chapter 1. Tracing Jordan. Who could have imagined the amount of destruction that a loud minority could cause once empowered by their hate? All throughout the United States there was terror, much of it caused by humans that no longer wanted to live amongst a race of sentient machines. These machines, these synths, did not allow themselves to fall victim to the mob. They fought back, mostly taking defensive measures, striking back at those who terrorized them. The country looked to their leaders for a solution, but what they got was gasoline to douse the growing fire. At first, President Joseph Frank of the United States of America did not address the violence. Then, in a series of messages to the press, he denounced the synths as criminals. In just a few words, he managed to escalate the violence, and the country burned for it. 2132 was a terrible year for humanity, and a living hell for the synths. In the corner of a bar in downtown Tampa, a large man sat staring into an empty glass as if the secret of life would appear within its recesses. Dhata Mays looked up and watched as a tall, muscular man grabbed his coat to leave. The man had been drinking there for over an hour, and Dhata had assumed that he was waiting for someone who hadn't bothered to show up. Girlfriend, perhaps? He didn't know, but he could sense the man's frustration. It was right there in the way he grabbed his coat. Dhata followed him out, got into his car, and then waited for the man to drive off. He brought up a map on the Buick's augmented dashboard, selected the man's Ford, and told Cindy, the car's computer, to follow it. Letting Cindy handle the trail was far superior to doing it manually, since she would take alternate routes based on the estimated path. In his time as a detective, he'd always let Cindy handle the tails, and this was the main reason why he'd never been caught. He grabbed his pistol, an energy tube, then cocked it back and primed it for maximum electricity. He touched the area near his ear, which would power on his internal computer, then blinked rapidly to move the interface to his implanted contact lens, ICL. The virtual desktop loaded and hovered in augmented reality. There was a message flashing, and he saw that his partner, Lur Diaz, had sent him a message. It was an invitation for dinner to celebrate their 1-year anniversary. He smiled. She's so sentimental, he thought. We should make a day of it. One dinner is nothing. A beeping sound snapped him back into focus, and Cindy announced, "Destination reached." They pulled up to Tampa's International Shuttleport and parked near the entrance. Dhata groaned. Of all the places to go this time of night, he thought. He would have to follow the man to wherever he was intending to go, and if it was overseas, then he would have to fly. A shuttle this late could mean he would not be back in time to celebrate with Lur. It wasn't that she wouldn't understand, but he really wanted to be there. He had been tracking the man for several days to see if he was cheating on his spouse, but he was elusive, and his wife was growing impatient, so he had to see it through. Dhata shook his head with annoyance, looked around, and then thrust his hands into the pockets of his duster. He fell in with the crowd of shuttleport travelers as his ICL outlined the man in green so Dhata could find him easily. He was moving fast, and Dhata wondered if he'd been made. So fast, in fact, that he had to jog in order to keep up with him. He skillfully slid between people standing around, though he ran into a few who didn't see him coming. As he ran nearer the landing zone, a loud rumbling occurred, and the glass windows shook as a shuttle flew in. Dhata glanced up at the monitor to see the details of the flight, and saw that it was the personal shuttle of a Japanese zaibatsu. The man he was chasing stopped in his tracks, forcing Dhata to do the same. When he turned to face him, he threw open his coat, a move so instantaneous that the ex-detective reacted on instinct. He pulled his pistol to beat him to the draw, but hesitated on pulling the trigger when he saw that the man was rigged with explosives. An explosion occurred, lifting him off his feet, and the force of the blast throwing him through the exterior glass wall. He cut open his arm and fell down a floor, where he found himself entwined
Sample complete. Ready to continue?